Okay, great. Hey everyone, John here, staff software engineer, lead maintainer of Latterly.io. That's an open source educational platform that'll help you learn to code and land your first or next programming role. Today, we are creating a script that will generate custom instructions. This is similar, but not identical to, the GitHub Copilot custom instruction feature. So in the GitHub Copilot custom instruction feature, you'll create a markdown file, .github/Copilot instructions in your repository. We will not be creating that file, but we'll be doing something similar. Ours will be much more substantial than these examples. What we want to do is we want to give boilerplate context to any language model, whether it's GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini or someone else, Anthropic. Boilerplate context that will help the language model understand the code base more deeply. So this might be the fact that you use Bazel, but it might be your entire dependency list, which gives you even a lower level of detail. Okay, you use Bazel. What version of Bazel are you using? The advice from the language model will vary depending on these. We always write JavaScript with double quotes. Okay, that could be fine. Or maybe I should just give you my ESLint file with all the rules. So my approach will be to generate a script that's going to include collaboration guidelines as found in the README. You can do this where you have a separate .contributing, like a contributing markdown file, but I'm just going to pass it the README. I'm going to literally read these files and interpolate it. I'm going to recursively build the folder structure of my application, and then I will include my package.json file in my case, because we're dealing with a web application. So we're going to build this custom instructions script, but even though it's similar to this, to keep the mental model clear, and so that if other people inspect the code base, they don't confuse it for a literal GitHub Copilot instructions. We'll name it slightly differently, put it in a slightly different place, but it's similar in intent to this. We are going to use it then to demonstrate an initial draft of a perks feature. So Latterly would like to build a perks feature similar to Taro perks. Shout out to Taro. And I would like to try to build the perks feature using AI quickly, just prototyping, not like a full build. In this video, 3 ways without any contextual. So it's going to demonstrate prompt engineering practices, and we should be able to validate that the final result is a quality improvement. Okay. So we're going to do this 3 ways. 1, without any context at all, like basically an anti-pattern case. 2, a standard bar of quality for a prompt engineer, which would basically be like act as an expert software developer, and then maybe including a few tidbits, but not including this full context. And then 3 with the full context. Then we will see the implementations, and we will also ask the language model to score them. So we will do a language model score and a human score. And what we're going to see, I expect, I'm forecasting, we'll see 2 things. 1, we will see greater alignment on the scoring between the human and the language model. So that the language model with the standard context is going to think it gave a good answer. And so it'll say 7, 8, 9, 10 was its own answer. It will rate itself with a 7, 8, 9, 10. But the human will rate it much lower because it will be off base, because it will be assuming normative library versions, which are not a good map to our particular implementation. And then in the final case, I don't know exactly what the scores will be, but I think they will be closer together, the human and AI scores. So I think with the additional context, the AI will be able to give a better answer and also know its own limitations more clearly. It'll be able to say, oh, like in my training set, that version doesn't exist. So I'm just doing my best here. And maybe we use GPT-4 and do a 4th iteration using the GPT-4 grounding or Google search augmentation. So GPT-4 now has, it's not the smartest model, but it has the capability to go out and check Google, so it can get up-to-date information if it runs into a package outside of its version set. All right, so let's dive in. So here I have cursor. What branch am I on? Okay. Blitz app part 2. I think this is already merged. Let's double check that I can exit this branch. Yeah, so everything's closed. We'll make a new one. I'll name it after the perks feature, but as I've explained, we're not really developing for perks. We are doing this custom instructions thing. So git checkout -b 338 init custom instructions. And I'll put this next to the README. I want to use my scripts folder. So we have Blitz app, and then we have scripts. Good. Now we have laterally IO, and I don't think that we have scripts. Okay, so I'll be able to copy this folder over. This is part of an ongoing migration. So I think this is a fine initial commit. 915, so it must be including data there. Yeah, I don't want to include the data. Let me roll this back. So how can I grab scripts without the data? Analytical is empty, okay. CI is also empty. I'm surprised by that. I thought there was stuff here. One-offs, YouTube. Oh, this is the one I just deleted. Scripts, analytical has, good, the job search regression. The data can go with requirements, that's fine. CI, this can go with one-offs. This can go with YouTube transcriber. All good. So where did the data dump come from? Oh, it's the video data folder. Yeah, so this one I'll temporarily move under public. And now I can copy the remainder of the scripts over here. And then I will move this back. I think it was under the YouTube transcriber. So now it should be less than 900. Now it's 33. Okay, that's much better. Good. So this is feat migrate scripts. Really, we could pull these out of the mono repo entirely, but I won't do that now. Publish the branch. So now in laterally IO folder, I have scripts. And where would I like to create this? It's not a one-off. It's not related to the transcriber. It's none of these. So it will be similar to one of the, like delete user here. It will be a sibling of this. Let me look at the requirements here. Pandas and stats model. I don't need to use that. And then the README. So I'd like to use Python for this. Good. The feature here is it's just a general script. So I will make a Python folder. I'll make a Python folder. Yeah, in many cases, creating a directory based on the tool is an anti-pattern. Usually you want to create a domain folder. Here's why I think a Python folder makes sense in this case. I want to have a single dependency file for my various Python projects. I don't want to bother a developer. I think it's a poor developer experience. if there's many different folders, and to use every tool, a developer has to have like a different, virtual environment. So instead, I am going to move my Python scripts under the Python folder. And then outside of this video, I will move up the requirements files so that they're in common. Because I don't even want to use a requirements file. I want to use a pyproject.toml file. So I want to update and modernize the practices here. Don't want to use pip. I don't want to use Python 3. I want to use UV. And I think it's easier to audit the implementation if they're all in one place and if they are all using one dependency file. I'm flexible on that. I'll think about it some more. I might create like a linter rule that just investigates folders under here. But I don't like the idea of mixing JavaScript and Python, and then there's a dependency file at the top level, but it's not for those scripts. I think that's really confusing. Okay. So now, let's go for UV. Dude, screen is way too tiny. You can go over to YouTube. Link is in my bio. I don't know how to make it bigger. Do you just want me to zoom in? Is that what you're saying? So you're using AI to land a job. I already have a job. There, that's zoomed in. Let me know if that helps. I am a staff software engineer in generative AI. This is an open source project. So I'm just working on Latterly, which is an open source project. I'm not trying to land a job right now. Okay, so I'm going to install UV. Let me make a README here so everything I'm doing is reproducible. Installation and usage. Whoa, is this Copilot doing this? I think so. Copilot's kind of crushing it. Navigate to the directory containing this README in a terminal and create a virtual environment. No. And install UV. Okay. Is it another diffusion model? No, this is Copilot instructions. So if you're working with like ChatGPT or Claude or Sonnet or a language model of any kind, Gemini, you're going to give it context. Marshall, thank you for the follow. You're going to give it context. You're going to be like, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is my code base. And that becomes boilerplate. So you're repeating it over and over. So let's automate that. We'll create a script that provides a high quality boilerplate initial message to the language model to begin a thread of context. Does that make sense? No checksums to verify, installing. So do I have it? Not found. Add it to your path. Oh, I just needed to source it. Okay, so I sourced it. Let me trash my terminal and see if the next one that spawns, if it's there. Yeah, okay, I have UV. I think this is fine. Why not use a TensorFlow agent? Are you just asking like all of the reasons ChatGPT is convenient? So you can't upload an image to a TensorFlow agent would be a good one, right? Many people, it's like adoptability. Like almost no one knows how to use TensorFlow. Almost everyone knows how to use ChatGPT. Mackenzie, thanks for sharing. $34 likes. Let's see if we can get some more likes on the video. Oh, let me add the markdown lent. I want to see this IntelliSense on my... Why do I not have IntelliSense? Or syntax highlighting? Okay. I don't know what I'm expecting. I thought the syntax highlighting there would be different. Oh, it's because I'm in cursor, not VS Code. Is that the reason? So I can't even Control-Shift-P. All right, let me uninstall this one, restart extensions, and get the other one. Okay, at least this one is linting. Cool. All right, I would like to see my syntax highlighting on those hashes, but at least it's linting. That's fine. Good enough. So this is, I can commit that thing by itself, which is chore recommend markdown lint. How did this, oh, and this is moving the files, yeah. Create Python dir. So I have UV, right? Now I'm going to go into laterally, scripts, Python. All right. And what do I want to do now? I want to make a new file. Create Copilot instructions. I went to UV. Do you want to install recommend Python extension? Ooh, I don't know. What are they? I really don't like these extensions, to be honest with you. I'm going to ignore those. Sophie, thank you for the follow. UVinit initialized a Python project. Okay, Python version 3.12 works for me. PyProject toml, hello, here's the hello file. I'm going to delete this. Does it say anything about hello? Nope, good. So the name is laterally IO Python scripts. Laterally IO Python scripts. All the scripts in Python. Baby Grinch to the moon. I don't know, maybe, whatever that is. Miggy, thank you for the follow. If you're gonna pump some coins on my stream, then send me some, please. Cool. So what do I want for this instructions? I really don't need much. I need to be able to read and write on the file system. In UV sync, I believe. Cool. I didn't mention this anywhere else in the file, did I? So look at that. GitHub became aware of my my folder. It became aware of the other files in my folder. That's cool. All right, so this will be chore, init, PyProject for scripts. Matt, thank you for the follow. All right, so I have this little project, and now what do I want to do? Now I want to go over to chat and say, hey, act as an expert software developer and help me create a script called create Copilot instructions.py. The purpose of this script is to provide boilerplate context to an AI assistant. The script should write a file called Copilot instructions.txt to the directory in which, to the same directory, to the directory containing the script. The text file is composed of 4 parts. 1, a boilerplate string, which says, act as an expert software developer. Let's see. It'll be a web developer in this case. Act as an expert web developer. To help me resolve a concern. We are working on the laterally.io web project, and I will describe the dependencies for the project, the folder structure, some contributing guidelines, and dependencies, folder structure, contributing guidelines. I'm missing something. Oh, the data model. The data model. The folder structure, yeah. The data model, some contributing guidelines. I guess that's good enough, huh? I could include like a sample code file, but I don't think that that's like necessary. Maybe I'll include the style rules as well. Nah, I don't need to do that. Once you have read these material, matter, contents, read through those materials, ask any important questions. Let's see. Ask any clarifying questions that you have. If you have none, simply state that you are ready to, that you have read through the high level context and you are ready for the you're ready to help with the current concern. Okay, so that's one part, a boilerplate string. Two is the dependencies for the project, which the dependencies for the project three is the folder structure of the project. Are you well versed in SQL indexing? I mean, I haven't written a SQL index in a few months, but I've done them plenty of times. So the folder structure for the current project, additional contributing guidelines. I'll leave that out for now just because I can't think of what I would put there. But feel free to include a section in your own version. And you could include the lint file if you want, the linter rules, but I'll ignore it. So we'll say three parts. A boilerplate template, a boilerplate string with miscellaneous instructions. Okay, so I'm going to, whoa, get on my clipboard, dude. What's going on? Control X. Let the output text look like the following. Do you use primary or clustered index? I can't remember the last time I've used a clustered index. I can't think of a use case that I've actually had to implement for that. No. Yeah. Are you hustling me out? Okay. I was coding a little bit. Do you need me to wrap up? So here's the project JSON file for this project, which describes the dependencies, the folder structure of the project. Here is the folder structure of the project. Scan the file system, making sure to respect .getignore. Scan the file system, making sure to respect .getignore, and create a text representation here. Let's say interpolate. Okay, cool. So we're going to produce a text file that looks like that. All right, let's read through this. We have OS and JSON. I'm expecting it to use the path library. Package.json path will be up a couple levels. Okay. The true value for package JSON path is relative to the create Copilot instructions script. We should look up to the parent twice. So from the perspective of the script, I go up 1, I go up 2, and then it will be a sibling. So 1, 2, really up 3, and then down 1. We should navigate to the parent 3 times, then dive in, the package.json will be contained in that directory. Should we use the path module? And the answer is yes. I'll be surprised if the answer is not yes. Okay. Git ignore. Generates a folder structure representation respecting git ignore. Let's try it. I was expecting that we would use a third-party module to process the git ignore file. Here, we are checking ourselves. I don't think it's going to respect glob. Let's see. Does not fully support glob, right? Pat spec, that's what I'm expecting. Rock on, babe. Look. Chat, you're beautiful. Chat, you are a beautiful thing. Now I'm not going to pip install. I'm going to UV add. UV add path spec. Then I'll UV sync. And I can UV pip install. I think I already installed it. UV pip list. I think when I add it, it installs it. Okay. So here's an issue. It says it's telling me to pass in the ignore file. I don't want to pass it in. I want you to find it. There's the project root, and then it is located relatively to the project root. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, that's correct. All right, this is basically what I expect. Let's see, I want to format it. I'll run this thing first of all. So UV run create. Look at that tab completion. You love to see it. Name path spec not defined. Why? Why? Because I did not source it. Source. Oh, no, because I did not import it. Oops. Path spec. Or am I using OS? There it is. Okay, we use os.walk. Makes sense. I'll separate the path spec from the built-ins. LMNOPHIJK. I'll sort. I can't use my control. I need to figure out what the hotkey is for in cursor getting to the command palette. Cursor command palette. It says it's Control-Shift-P, but homie, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Control-Shift-P. Bro, you're lying. Oh, no way. It only works with one of my shifts. It is Control-Shift-P, but only one of the shifts is allowed. That's wild. Yeah, both shifts capitalize my letters, but only one of the shit. Okay. What's your tech stack? Fabrizio, thank you for the likes. Over 1,000 likes, chat. Thank you so much. Please do follow the page if you find this interesting. The tech stack for today's stream, we're using Python. You can see it right in front of us. Very narrow stack. Pathlib and then built-ins, or patspec and these built-ins. And then I'm using UV for package management. That is what I'm doing with this current script, but the script is in service of the whole monorepo, and the monorepo has Next.js. It's a web application, and it's using React, and it's using Tailwind, and it's using Prisma for the ORM. So it's a web application with some auxiliary Python scripts. Does that make sense? What are you planning to build? Just check it out. Link is in the bio. It's already built. It's already deployed. You can check out my bio. You can go see it today. We're just improving it. Continuous improvement. All of the streams, including the current stream, are saved to YouTube, so you can see it from the beginning. I've given the spiel a few times. I'll do it again, but I'll be quicker this time. And if you're missing detail, just go watch the video again. So we're building Copilot instructions. You should have built the whole app in Scratch. No way. No shot. So here are Copilot instructions for GitHub Copilot. We are building a more generic instructions that can work with any AI assistant, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Sonnet or Gemini. It's going to work with all of them. But it's similar in concept. It's still similar in concept to this Copilot, although ours is much more thorough. So that's the idea. We're producing a script. To put it in simple terms, we are outputting an opinionated text file. We are outputting a very specific text file. Does that make sense? Okay, so this will be feature init create Copilot instructions. We'll push it. Now I want to try to run it. Good. It says we created it. Did it create it in the right spot? Sibling to this file? Yes, it did. What does it say? Act as an expert web developer to help me resolve a concern. So it's making this one line, which is fine for machines, but I don't really like it. I want my new lines in here. I want my new lines in here. Okay, let's try it again. Now it looks better. It's more readable to me, right? Act as an expert. That's what the new line does. It brings it down a line. Act as an expert web developer to help me resolve a concern. We're working on the Laterally IO web project, and I will describe the dependencies for the project, the folder structure, and the data model. Once you've read through these materials, let's say ask any clarifying questions that you have. That's fine. Hey host, have you used ChatGPT Canvas? It says purposely built for programmers. I've used it. It hasn't really impressed me yet, but it keeps getting better. So who knows what tomorrow brings. If you have none, let's say if you have no questions, state that you have read through the high-level context and you are ready to help with the current concern. Let's break this into a new line just because I want to, and I'm the human, so I get to do stuff like that. Get wrecked, GPT. Okay, if you have no questions, state that you have read through the high-level context and you are ready to help with the current concern. Here is the project JSON file for this project, which describes the dependencies. I want this to use the triple tick. I don't, and then I want it to say package.json. Yeah. Oh, it's literally extracting the dependencies. It's not actually copying the whole file. How do I feel about that? I could go either way. Like, I could go either way, to be honest with you. Let me just give it the package JSON literal. For read package JSON, let's copy the file content literally rather than extracting only the dependency data. There may be other things that are included in that package JSON, like the scripts that I'm calling, the way that the server is being run, arguments that are passed to the server. Other data, sometimes people put their ESLint rules inside of the package JSON, or there's other configuration inside of the package JSON file. So there could be like version constraint on the version of node being used. So in short, I think that we just get more context, and I don't think it's too expensive. So I think the trade-off is good. Like, I don't think it's going to take that much space. We get to know the name of the project. This is not a private project. I should go change that. Package.json. Let's make this one false. Yeah, like this. This, for example, would be missed if we just extract those dependencies, but it still may be relevant for some issues that we run into. Okay, let's rebuild the Copilot instructions. That false comes through, looks good. Now I'm closing others. So here I'm going to commit these. Feat read package JSON literally. And I want to look at my directory structure. So we have env. The formatting here just looks awful. The formatting here just looks awful. Yeah, site packages, we need to ignore these. How can you describe in simplistic ways about closure in JavaScript, even the mental model? I would say the closure is like a room in a house, and it contains everything that you are doing inside of a function. So if you are doing activities in that room, you are in the closure. That's the mental model I would give you. If you want to pass data into that closure, it's like you're moving new furniture into that room. So the closure, you can do things in the room, and they have an isolated scope relative to the rest of your application, which might be maybe your family is cooking in the kitchen, and you go off into another room and do something else. So you're in an isolated scope. I think that's the mental model that I would offer. Okay, so let me go to my git ignore. And venv is not included here. So I'd like to include Python. Yep. Well, I don't want to ignore the script file. I want to ignore .venv. I guess I don't need the slash, do I? Good, and now I've got a big fat red area where many of lines were saved. Here's analytical, that's good. Transcriber, this is all good. Good, so we saved about 50 lines of code there. I'm making sure there's no site packages remaining. I think this is good. Okay, so this will be chore ignore.vim. Now let me grab these instructions. So we'll quickly do this three ways. What am I trying to do? Hey, make a perks feature. Make a perks feature for a website, similar to Taro's perks feature. A perks feature is like where I have a coupon code I can share with people. And if they use it, then they get a discount and I get some revenue. All right, so this is the anti-pattern prompt test case. Like this is, I would say this is not a good prompt. I have seen worse, actually. I mean, if you're straight up misspelling things, using incorrect words and so on. So on a scale of 1 to 10, this would be like a 2, and I still call it an anti-pattern. Maybe this is a 3 because I refer to Taro's perks feature. So I think that's even better. I'll say write the code. And here you go. You see it's already making assumptions, as it has to, because I've given it a poor prompt. And it's saying that we're going to use Node.js, and it's assuming React. It got lucky there. Assumes you're using MongoDB, which I'm not, and Stripe or Express, which I am. Or Stripe or PayPal, which I am. I'm using Stripe. Attach an image of a 6-finger hand and ask if there's anything wrong with it. No thanks. Rate this implementation on a scale of 1 to 10. It rated a 7 out of 10. See, this is what I predicted, right? It's going to say it's a 7, 8, 9 out of 10. And it's way off because it doesn't know my implementation. I am using Create T3 app with Prisma, Postgres, Prisma and Postgres, and Stripe and Next.js. Let's get the version. Version 14. 14.2.4. Given the, oh, and Tailwind. Given this information, rate your code's applicability to my implementation on a scale of 1 to 10. I better see it drop under 5. A 4 out of 10. Okay. So we've basically already demonstrated the principle that providing the boilerplate adds a 3 out of 10 bump or a 30% bump. Or you could almost say more than a 50% bump, because going from a 4 to a 7 is more than a 50% improvement. So how you measure these things, whatever, something in the range of 30 to 50% improvement, and that's about what I expect we're going to do. Now, let's do a slightly better prompt. Act as an expert web developer and create a new perks page for my Next.js v14 application, which uses Tailwind CSS and Prisma for the ORM. I don't need perk data in my database. A perk feature is where I provide an affiliate coupon or discount code to an end user. They get a discount and I get some revenue, but the payments are all handled on other websites. So for us, it can just be a static page with a repeated component that describes a discount code for various vendors. One for codecademy.com, one for, I don't know, springboard.com, and so on. Each of these repeated component instances should have a link to the external website. So I gave more detail, so I think it will rate itself at least a 7 and perhaps higher if it thinks it gave me a more specific and relevant result. And this looks like very close to what I'm actually wanting anyway. Okay, so I'm expecting 7, 8, 9. I don't think it'll give it, so I don't think it'll give a 10. Yeah, 9. Okay. So it's rating itself better, and now I'm going to make it aware of my particular code base and ask, like, what do you think the space is now? Now consider the more specific context related to my code base below. Give an updated implementation of the perks page based on this, the new context. It's deciding to use the latterly page wrapper. That's awesome. It just decided that automatically. Have you used 01? Yeah, 01 is pretty good. It's pretty good, but I don't like that it rate limits you and 4.0 gets it done most of the time. 4.0 also has tool usage, including the ability to consult the web that I really, really care about. Given the new context, rate your new implementation on a scale of 1 to 10 and re-rate your old implementation. It better not say the old one was still a 9. I'll be peeved. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it said, hey, like with the, even my best practice prompt approach, like if I'm being a good engineer, right, and I'm giving it adequate, like this is a good prompt. This is a good prompt here, okay? Still, the boilerplate prompt that I gave you raised from an 8.5 to a 9.5 with arguably lower effort because I have this pre-built script. So that's the value add there. I use Sonnet 3.5 for all my web dev. Do you like 4.0 better? I do currently, but it goes back and forth. So even Sonnet 3.5 is a series. So they'll have like, you know, the December version or whatever. And it does go back and forth. I'm a big, and it also depends on your task. So I really like the Anthropic tools for role-playing games. With one exception, they can't roll a fair die. And so for that reason, I still prefer 4.0, even though I think the narrative, like the way that Claude and Sonnet speak, I think it produces something closer to like a book, like I would enjoy reading in a book. But when I'm doing a role-playing game, I want the narrative quality with the ability to roll a fair die. And at least last I checked, unless there was an update, and maybe there was, Sonnet wasn't able to incorporate both of those. Hey, so that concludes today's stream. You can see I've basically demonstrated that this tool works, and this will be available on Latterly. You can make your own for your code base, and I've shown you how to do it. And I've demonstrated that even according to the language model,